Part 1. I never stopped looking for him. Before we begin, comment below where you're watching from so I know how far this story has reached. I'm 78 now. My hands shake when I hold my cup of tea, and my bones ache when I sit too long. But the one pain that's never dulled is the pain of losing my son. His name was Samuel. He was 6 years old when I last held him. Back then, life was hard, but we were happy. I worked 2 jobs and his mother, Ellen, always made sure he had a warm plate and even warmer hugs. But happiness is a fragile thing. It shattered the day she left. It happened so fast. One day, I came home from work and the apartment was empty, no note, no warning. Just Samuel's little toy truck left on the kitchen floor. I called everyone. Searched every hospital. I even slept in the car for weeks trying to track them down. But they were gone. Like dust in the wind. I didn't give up. I hired a private investigator when I could. I posted online for years, on forums and pages for missing persons. I visited cities I thought they might have moved to. But nothing. Eventually, people told me to let go. That maybe they were better off. But how can a father ever stop looking for his child? I still remember his laugh. The way he called me Papa and climbed onto my lap with his books. He had this little gap between his front teeth that made his smile even more precious. I remarried once. It didn't last. How could it? My heart had never left that moment, the day I came home to an empty home and a missing son. Now, I live in a small nursing home in a quiet town. Most days are slow. People come and go. But every time a young man visits someone, I find myself staring, hoping, imagining. And then, just last Tuesday, something happened. A volunteer came in. Said he wanted to talk with the residents and hear their stories for a local project. He looked to be in his 30s. He had kind eyes, and something else. There was something familiar about him I couldn't place. I almost didn't talk to him. But my heart wouldn't let me walk away. I asked him his name. He smiled and said, Sam. Part 2, there was something in his eyes. He said his name was Sam. That name hit me like a gust of cold wind. My chest tightened. My breath caught. For a second, I thought I misheard. Sam? I asked again, trying to keep my voice steady. Yes, sir, he replied. Short for Samuel. I stared at him. Same calm voice. Same thoughtful eyes. But he was a man now, broad-shouldered, a little taller than me, with thick brown hair and a small scar above his right eyebrow. A scar I remembered. Samuel had tripped on the sidewalk outside our old building when he was 4. Ellen cried harder than he did. I held him all night as he slept in my arms. That scar, it couldn't be a coincidence. You said you're doing a project? I asked. Yes. I volunteer at different homes. I record life stories for a digital archive. I just think old stories matter. Old stories. I had one. One I was never able to finish. We sat down together in the small common room. I started talking about my younger days, my job, and then eventually about him. About Samuel. About the day I lost him. His face changed. At first, he just listened. Quietly. Then his hands began to tremble a little. He stared at me, not like a stranger would, but like someone trying to remember something buried deep. I was 6 when my mom and I moved away, he finally said. She told me my father didn't want us anymore. My heart broke again, hearing that. She moved us far. Changed our last names. I always wondered, though. I had dreams. Pieces of memories. He paused. You said you called me champ sometimes? I nodded, my throat tight. You love that. You'd run down the hall yelling, champ coming through. He looked down at his lap, his hands now covering his mouth. He stayed quiet for a moment, then whispered, I remember that. Silence fell between us. He didn't say it. I didn't either. But in that moment, we both knew. This was my son. He found me. Or maybe I found him. But nothing could prepare me for what he said next. "There's something else you need to know," he said. "Something I've carried all my life." And just like that, my heart beat faster than it had in years. I braced myself for the truth. Whatever it was. Part 3. He wasn't my father. Samuel leaned forward, his hands clasped tightly, his eyes no longer meeting mine. I could feel the air grow heavier. The room seemed quieter, like even the walls were waiting for him to speak. "I found letters," he said slowly. "After Mom passed away last year. Hidden in the back of her closet." I nodded, my chest aching. "She kept everything from me. Photos, letters, even a small box of your things. I think, deep down, she knew I'd go looking." He reached into his bag and took out a folded envelope. Yellowed. Worn. My handwriting still visible on the front. "To my son, Samuel." My hand shook as I took it. I remembered writing that letter, 17 years ago. I had written dozens, sent them all, but none came back. No word. No answer. Not even once. "I read every single one," he said. "It was like meeting you through paper. Like hearing a voice I never knew I missed." Tears welled up in my eyes. I looked at him, still trying to believe he was here. But then he said it. "Mom, she married someone else when I was 9. I thought he was my dad. She let me believe it. And I loved him. I still do, in some way. But after she died, I did a DNA test, and I learned he wasn't my father." He looked up at me, finally. "You were." My throat closed. I had imagined this moment 1,000 times. But never like this. "I hated you for a long time," he continued. "Even without knowing you. Because I thought you left me. That you forgot about me." "I never forgot," I whispered. "Not one day." "I know," he said. "I know now." We sat in silence again. But this time, it was softer. He had brought the truth. I had waited for it. "I don't know how to be your son," he said finally. "And I don't expect anything. I don't know how to be your father anymore either," I answered. "But maybe, we can just be here. Together." He nodded. And then, slowly, he reached for my hand. Part 4, 17 birthdays. We didn't say much after that day. But he came back. The next weekend, then the one after that. We'd sit on the porch, sip coffee, and talk about things that didn't hurt. The weather. Books. His work. My garden. Sometimes, he'd bring a photo from his childhood, and I'd sit there studying it like a starving man looking at food behind glass. In one photo, he was wearing a superhero costume, missing his 2 front teeth. I touched the picture and said, "I missed that Halloween." "I did, too," he said. There was no need to fill in the silence with apologies anymore. The truth had done its work. It didn't erase the pain, but it made space for something else, presence. One day, I told him, "I bought you 17 birthday cards. One each year. Never sent them. Just kept them." He didn't answer. Just leaned back, his eyes cloudy again. "You want to see them?" I asked. He nodded. I led him to the study, pulled a shoebox from the shelf, and opened it on the table. 17 envelopes. Some were wrinkled, others crisp. Each one addressed to Samuel. He picked one up. Opened it. Read it. Then another. And another. By the 4th card, he was crying. "They're silly," I said, almost embarrassed. "Just a few words every year. I didn't know what kind of boy you were growing up." "So, I guessed." "They're not silly," he said. "They're everything." That night, before he left, he hugged me. It wasn't awkward. It was real. Like time had bent for just a second to let us step through. As he walked out, he said, "Next Sunday, we'll go fishing. Like you always wrote about." I nodded. And when the door closed behind him, I sat down in my chair, stared at the empty teacup he left behind, and let the tears fall. Not for the years we lost, but for the days we might still have. If you're reading this, and you're waiting for someone to come back, sometimes they do. Not always how you imagined. But sometimes, broken things can still be held. Still be known. And sometimes, loved again. Now, I just wait for Sunday. If this story touched your heart, let me know where you're watching from. And before you go, rate this story from 1 to 10 and don't forget to like and share. Let's see how far this reunion can reach.